Good evening and welcome to the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show. The Red Wings are in town to face off against the Rapids for the final time this season at the E&P Seneschal Center. And it is a game that, like the others, is going to be a highly physical, very high-scoring contest. We're going to jump right into the tail of the tape, give you all the stats, bring you everything that's up to date so far, and we're going to talk a lot about what was this past week, including the MHL's All-Star Game, where 5 Rapids players took part in in the festivities, rather. So this is what we're going to start off with. The Fredericton Red Wings coming in with a 10-30, 1-2 record on the season, 3-6-0-1 in their last 10, 124 goals for 209 goals against, rather. Their power play sitting at a 21.8%, third placed in the East League North Division, and their penalty kill at 71.9%, which ranks dead last. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about how last game special teams, even though they weren't evenly balanced, were not really going to be a huge factor in this game. I ate my words on that one, and honestly, I'm so glad that I was wrong, because that's how it goes sometimes. Leading the charge for the Fredericton Red Wings, Sam McFarland, the captain, with 16 goals on the season. Caleb Johnson with 27 assists and 30 total points, leading the Red Wings in their scoring. Their goal differential on the season, minus 85. So just to show you how much of a difference it is between these two teams, we'll go over the Rapids stats as well. So for the Grand Falls Rapids, 11-25, 2-6 on the season. They are 2-1 in their last 3 games. Fantastic. One of which was a 3-0 shutout. Loic Nadeau's very first MHL shutout against the Fredericton Red Wings here last Wednesday night. 1 week ago today, they had their loss against the Miramichi Timberwolves. They would go on to win their Sunday game against the Campbellton Tigers by a score of 4-1. And they've been impressive ever since then. The Grand Falls Rapids, 2-6-1-1 in their last 10. 140 goals for, 186 goals against. Their power play percentage sits second worst in the division at 17.2%, but their penalty kill, on the other hand, 77.9%, also in the second worst in the division. Their goal differential, like we were mentioning, is a minus 46. So the Red Wings have almost a double negative goal differential. That is something that is very interesting. Leading the charge in all 3 facets, goals, assists, and points, Jonah Leard, 23 goals, 34 assists, and 57 total points on this season for the Rapids so far. So this, like I mentioned, is going to be a very chippy game. The Red Wings are going to want to win this one at all costs. They do not want any remnants of that game on Wednesday night near them. The last time the Red Wings played, they lost the Amherst Ramblers Saturday night 2-1, so they're on minimum, they've lost their last 2 games, and they're going to want to get back into the win column. So you're going to expect them to come out with some bite. They're going to play some desperation, and it's not going to be necessarily difficult, but it's not going to be an easy task to beat a desperate Red Wings team, as we've seen in the past couple of months of the season. But this is going to be a game where they want to avenge that shutout loss that they suffered at the hands of the Grand Falls Rapids. And again, it's going to be a team that's not going to be easily clobbered. They're not going to be beaten down, because we've seen them time and time again. They want to get back into the swing of things, stave off that shutout loss. Forget the loss against the Amherst Ramblers. They want to make sure that they are doing everything in their power to win the game here tonight, and that does not stop at anything. The season series in between the Rapids and the Red Wings, 3-2-1 in favor of the Rapids. They look to close out the series in the win column, as this is going to be the last time that the Red Wings play the Grand Falls Rapids this season in a 7-game series during the regular season. It's going to be interesting. How do I perceive, or how is this game outlook going to be? I would expect it to be very ugly at some points, very physical. I would probably think that both teams are going to want to win this one really bad. There's a bit of a pep in the Rapids step since we last spoke. I'm expecting there to be probably more than 5 goals scored in this game. As we've seen these two teams, they like to score a lot. Fredericton, historically, their goals for this season, obviously not quite as much. But against the Rapids, they seem to have scored quite a bit when it comes to playing them here at the EMP Seneschal Center. And watch for a couple of rivalries that happened on the ice. We saw Brody Paré and Xander Pierce go at it. The last game, they were jolling back and forth. I would expect that to come to a head probably at some point during this game, as well as some other tough love rivalries, as we should say, throughout the course of the last game. So these two teams they do not like each other. They're division rivals. They're battling for the bottom right now. And Fredericton right now or Grand Falls right now rather, is looking to keep that winning mentality going for the rest of the season. There's 6 games left after tonight, 3 of which are home games, and then 3 on the road as well. It's going to be a very interesting game, and I'm excited to see how these two teams are going to match up and face off against each other. So we're going to take a look at the matchups to watch. Your projected starting goaltenders for the evening. For the Grand Falls Rapids, it's going to be Adam LaCour on the season, 9-15-4, with a .398 goals against average and a .901 save percentage. Not too shabby at all. On the other hand, I would expect Zach Briggio to start 8-18-1 on the season, .433 goals against, and an .895 save percentage. Not bad at all. These two goaltenders, we've seen them do battle time and time again. When they get dialed in, they get dialed in. And I mean that in a way of, you've seen Adam LaCour when he faces those first 5 shots of the game, you'll really start to see him get zoned in, zeroed in to that mentality of how the rest of the game is going to go. And given the fact that he has generally played pretty well against Fredericton, and historically he's actually played very well against them. He's one of the teams he's got the most, or Fredericton rather, is one of the teams that he's got the most wins against throughout his career so far. Zach Briggio, on the other hand, has struggled quite a bit against the Rapids, but that could mean nothing depending on how the course of this game goes. If the Rapids start on time and have a solid first period, I think that this is going to be a game that they can take full control of very, very easily. Like I said, it's not going to be an easy clobbering, but they can take control and grab the reins of this Red Wings team very quickly if things can go bad for them. Now, we talked a little bit about how this is going to be the last game that we see, or the last few games rather, that we see a lot of these teams. And the Grand Falls Rapids obviously looking to close out the series, but they have had quite an eventful week. So, as we know, last week they had a Wednesday night game against the Fredericton Red Wings, a Friday night game against the Miramichi Timberwolves, a Sunday afternoon game against the Campbellton Tigers, and then they were off to Edmundston on Tuesday night for the MHL's All-Star Evening, presented by Metal Fab Fire Trucks. So, wow, it was an incredible, I will say this, an incredible evening. I know I say that word a lot, but Metal Fab Fire Trucks and the MHL partnered to host this in Edmundston, and it was kicked off with the Young Guns game featuring the North and South divisions, and what a battle it was. An 8-4 victory for the South Division. But for those watching the Rapids, some of the standout performances came from your Rapids captain Jonah Laird, Braden Campbell, who was a dominant force in this game, and Raphael Michaud on the back end as well. So Jonah Laird was a key contributor, scoring a goal and adding an assist, which somehow didn't end up on the score sheet, despite them actually announcing that he did have an assist. So he did have a goal and an assist. Braden Campbell had a few good chances as well, and had it not been for that darn post, it could have been very easily off the back post of the net and in. Raphael Michaud, on the other hand, was an absolute force on defense, logging 3 blocked shots through the course of that game and really helping out their team. Despite them getting the loss, they shone bright, and I think those were among the standout players. Obviously, you saw quite a few players from both sides standing out, but those were the 3 that really showed their colors. And what we're used to seeing here in Grand Falls, they looked good. they looked really good. Jonah Leard, we saw that scoring prowess that we always see from him on a nightly basis here in Grand Falls. Braden Campbell, again, had a slew of really good scoring chances and did a fantastic job at just making sure that those pucks went as close to the net as he possibly can. Unfortunately, couldn't find the back of it, but that's just bad puck luck. He was getting the quality chances and just wasn't able to find the back of the net. Rafael Michaud, on the other hand, played a great, solid, all-around game. It was a great success from his point of view as well. So 3 block shots in that game from him, and that's something that I think was a big-time asset to how the team played in this All-Star game, as well as what he's able to do in Grand Falls. You've seen he's able to block the shots. He can lay down, he can block it, but he also brings that extra little bit of grit, which we saw as well. Not to the point where he got too physical, but he definitely did show a little bit of that grit that we're used to seeing as well. So the Young Stars game, 8-4 in favor of the South Division, and then we move on to the seniors game, which was much tighter. It was the North Division edging out the South Division 3-2 in a shootout. Nathan Plemons-Michaud scored in that game, adding another highlight to the All-Star evening. And Isaac Allard, the birthday boy, happy birthday, Isaac, had himself a total of 2 block shots in that game as well. So overall, it was an extremely successful All-Star game for the league, rather. And I can't wait to see what next year brings. Now, personally, I thought it was very well organized. It was super fun. The crowd was right into it, especially in the North Division. Gotta show a little bit of bias here because you obviously know why. But I think for next year, it would be really cool to see a skills competition similar to what the NHL does with, the hardest shot, fastest skater. Just little things like that I think would be really cool to see and really add to the atmosphere. But overall, it really wasn't a bad first All-Star game for the league. And performance-wise, you got to see the best of the best playing against the best of the best. It couldn't get much better than that. The Senior Stars game was a lot closer. It was a lot more, I think, suspenseful. And a lot of people were up and in their seats, that's for sure. Or up and out of their seats, rather, that's for sure. Now, when it comes to the Young Guns game, who doesn't love goals, you know what I mean? That was no shortage of any sort of goals there. The Rapids boys played extremely well. It was overall a success and really happy with the way that things turned out. But now, since they are back from the All-Star game, there's a couple of things that I started to notice, and maybe you've started to notice it too. They seem to have a little bit more confidence. And what do I mean by that? There's that extra little bit of their pep in their step that we've started to notice not just on the ice through their winning streak the last few games, but also their attitude off the ice. You've seen them a lot happier, a lot more upbeat, a lot more going with the vibe to cater to all my younger viewers. They just seem a lot different. The mood just seems a lot different than it was quite a few months ago when it was first started. So you start to see that in not only their off-ice performance, but their on-ice chemistry starting to get a little bit better. And they've started to really dial in, I should say, for not just the rest of the season, but talking to a couple of the players, they're very excited for what we've got going on next year and the group that's going to be coming back. Obviously, with the exception of the players who are aging out, you're getting to see a lot of the core players who are going to be back next year, and it's going to be just such an exciting team to watch. I cannot stress this enough. Get your season tickets for next season. This is going to be a team you're not going to want to miss a single game playing. Now, with that said, the future's pretty bright in Rapids land. Reason being is because it's not just going to be the core that we have here, but there's a lot of exciting prospects in the pipeline, plus the players that are going to be drafted this year as well. I think it's going to be super exciting to see who's going to come in, and potential invitees to training camp coming up next year as well. But for the moment, I think the best thing to do would just be take it all in. Just enjoy the rest of the season as it is, because there's some good hockey being played here, and these guys are dialed in, ready to go, and all in, for lack of a better word, all in on every little bit of season that we have left, and seemingly so coming into the end of the season and going into early stages of training camp as well. So it's going to be quite an incredible stretch that we have left. 6 games left to play, and there's so much left to see. So we're going to move into the Rapids Heat Index, and this is a player who I thought was very deserving of the award this week. Had a short-handed goal, something that we do not see very often through the course of this season, and especially against a team like the Campbellton Tigers, and that is none other than Brody Paré, who earned the honor of the Rapids Heat Index Player of the Week. You could feel the momentum shift, really, when it started. You saw the 2-goal lead, and then when he scored that goal, the momentum was really swinging in their favor. That's pretty much the assurance marker that they were basically shutting Campbellton down every moment that they possibly could. He shone through in a big way when the team needed him the most. This season, Brody's been, he's had that consistent presence. He showed a little bit more of that grit, that kind of Nash in his step, and it's very exciting. I think he's a really dynamic player to watch, and he's super fun to get to see as well. But one thing that he does really well, and part of the reason why he was on the Heat Index Player of the Week, is the fact that he is able to get in the opponent's ear and do everything he possibly can to draw penalties, to get under their skin. And he does it so well. There's such an art to that, and there's very few players, I think, in the league, let alone on this team, that can do it as well as he does. But he's got that way of getting in his opponent's ears and once again, just getting under their skin, doing everything he can to draw those penalties. He does it so incredibly well. So Brody Paré named the Heat Index Player of the Week. Well deserved, and congratulations, Brody. Looking forward to what you can see, what is going to come from him over the next few games and through the rest of the season. We are also going to have him joining us on the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids post-game show, so you're going to want to stick around for that. And before we close things off here, I want to mention a couple of things. So obviously with the there's going to be the Rapids doing a suicide prevention game. Now this is something that is a topic that's very close to home. As those who know me, I've had a history of mental health issues. I'm somebody who, it's not an easy thing to talk about. So I'm somebody who is a suicide survivor. And it's so important to talk about things like this. Starting those conversations. Giving any sort of, if you see somebody who's struggling, who's not doing too well, go over and talk to them. Don't have to be, the hero, the saving grace, but just the most important thing that you can do is just start those conversations, raise a little bit of awareness, include everybody. And if you see somebody who's struggling, who's going through a tough time mentally, just be there and reach out that hand. It may not seem like it's a lot, but it will mean the world to somebody. And that's such an important thing, especially in the world today where we've seen way too many, especially our young people, we've seen way too many young people gone way, way too damn soon. So the biggest thing that I can say is just do that. Be kind to everybody. If you see someone struggling, I cannot stress this enough. Just be there for them and just provide that extra helping hand, even if it's just an ear to listen, if it's, advice on who to go to. But the most important thing is just to be there for those in need. That being said, I'm going to bring you into the question of the game. Looking back on this season, there has been a couple of defining moments for this team. And I think the second half has really defined the character of this team. And resilience is the word that comes to mind. So my question of the game for this game, if you had to pick a moment that really defined the identity of this team this season, what moment would that be? Leave it down in the comments down below, and we will come back and show you, we will share it in the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids post-game show. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. as well as we are going to be joined by Grand Falls Rapids number 40, Brody Paré, coming up in the post-game show. You are not going to want to miss it. We're going to talk all things Rapids here, and stay for the game, stay for the post-game. It's exciting. Grand Falls, Fredericton, division rivalry, last game of the season between these two teams. It's going to be good. It's going to be damn good.